mentioned earlier, you're getting into Publix and you have some huge orders that you need to get into place. So how are you handling the purchasing of those peppers, I think you mentioned, and the cash outlay with that? How are you kind of visualizing the next, the setup of that? Because it's a huge kind of a deal and a big kind of, tweak, I guess, to your inventory normal process on a day to day.
Totally. Cash flow whiplash is like what keeps me up at night. So like, I could talk about this all day. Grocery, again, is a very particular, unique industry. And I guess not necessarily this was the same in Baby Eaters, and my CFO partner, Matthew, in Baby Eaters, was up at night thinking about, paying on the front end for all the stuff you're not going to see revenue on for months. So we buy peppers, and because of our fermentation process, we're fermented food, we're a live probiotic, unpasteurized. It takes 6 to 8 weeks to get to that fermented state. Unlike if you heat process, you buy peppers, put them in the boiler, the next day you can bottle the sauce. So we are carrying cash for two more months than most hot sauce companies. And then once you have the bottled sauce, it takes a few weeks to get to the fulfillment center, it takes a few weeks to get to the distribution center of the store, and then by that point, then starts the clock for the terms, right? Once they receive it. And so if that could be 45 days or 60 days if it's a big account. So all in all, that's probably, 4 or 5 months of carrying raw goods. And we were doing that, and that's, what we spent some of that angel money last year. And we actually did the Series seed round this year. We're in the middle of it. We have about a 1 million and we've got 300,000 left to raise this for the end of the year. And that's the other thing I'm doing. It's like between worrying about cash and raising cash, that's a lot of my bandwidth. But that's the role of CEO. So what we have actually just done, which I think I'm really excited about, because we were carrying that cash ourselves. And for a while, I've been looking into a lot of lines of credit and debt opportunities to help carry. And the traditional model is the PO factoring. And so somebody will pay you when you get your PO, and then the company's net 60 then pays the factor. But those 2 months weren't enough time for us to justify the expense of giving up kind of whatever the PO would take, the PO factoring company would take 15%, I don't know, 10%. But we just partnered with a new debt firm that actually does raw goods factoring. And so they're buying the peppers on our behalf. They take out that line of credit and charge us interest on it. And then they get cash first. So any money that's coming in from Shopify, from Amazon, from our big POs, they start to, eat away at our debt, and then we can scale it back up. And that way, I'm not spending the equity I just raised dollar for dollar. I'm able to scale a little further, which makes me happier.
Yeah, there's that's good to hear. But there's, from when we started this 5-8 years ago, like there never was these situations that exist these days. These apps, these cash flow loans, these tech-enabled cash providers or factoring companies that exist out there. So definitely leverage them as much as possible. For anybody out there, some of them are very high interest, but again, it's not giving away equity, and it's typically a little bit easier to get that money up front in a quicker process. So glad to hear on that. So